This presentation is on false confessions, the police's role in obtaining them, and what the United States is doing to protect suspects from them. According to Cornell Law School, someone makes a false confession when they admit to doing something they did not do. A lot of times, false confessions are thought to be caused by the police. Although there are different types of false confessions, compliant false confessions are linked to police interrogation. Compliant false confessions happen when an innocent person confesses to a crime in hopes of ending an interrogation that has become long, emotionally exhausting, or abusive. According to a 2001 Michigan Law Review article written by Lori Magid, police deception in regard to obtaining confessions dates all the way back to common law. Magid said it wasn't until the 1700s and 1800s that judges even considered confessions obtained by police deception potentially problematic. So how does the United States deal with false confessions caused by inappropriate police conduct? False confessions caused by inappropriate police conduct is nothing new in the United States, and in fact, few barriers have been put in place. In the last 85 years, though, the United States Supreme Court has ruled on the issue a few times, beginning with the case Brown v. State of Mississippi. Brown centers around whether it is a violation of someone's 14th Amendment due process rights when the only evidence used to convict them of a crime is based on a false confession obtained from police brutality. In Brown, 3 African-American men were accused of murdering Raymond Stewart. The men initially maintained their innocence, but they confessed after being subjected to excruciating torture. At trial, the defendants' confessions were admitted into evidence. The men ended up being convicted of murder, so they appealed. In Brown, the United States Supreme Court held, police interrogations comprised of physical torture which induced a false confession did violate someone's Fourth Amendment due process rights and could not be entered into evidence. The men's convictions were reversed. 30 years after Brown, the Supreme Court had to decide whether a suspect's Fifth Amendment rights regarding protection against self-incrimination also extended to police interrogations in the case of Miranda v. Arizona. The issue the court had to decide in Miranda was, do the statements a defendant makes while being interrogated by the police take away the defendant's freedom of action, thus violating his Fifth Amendment rights? In Miranda, the 4 defendants were interrogated by police without completely being advised of their Fifth Amendment constitutional rights. Each defendant had extenuating circumstances such as Miranda was mentally ill and Stewart was extremely uneducated. In Miranda, the United States Supreme Court held, the prosecution may not use statements, whether exculpatory or inculpatory, stemming from custodial interrogation of the defendant unless it demonstrates the use of procedural safeguards effective to secure the privilege against self-incrimination, and each defendant should have been informed of their Fifth Amendment rights. Although Miranda is a well-known case and most Americans know their rights, there are some people who argue that Miranda does not really help with false confessions. These people point out a lot of interrogators' deceptive ways happen after Miranda is read, such as interrogators telling suspects about fake witnesses and fake evidence. So, besides the Supreme Court ruling that the Fifth and 14th Amendments applied to police interrogations, what else has been done over the years to protect suspects from false confessions during police interrogations? In recent years, some states have passed laws that require interrogations to be recorded. According to the Innocence Project, 29 states and federal law enforcement agencies require police interrogations to be recorded. Recorded interrogations provide suspects and the police with several benefits. One of the major benefits recorded interrogations provide is a complete record of what was said and did by each party. A second benefit is that recorded interrogations can be reviewed to ensure a suspect's Miranda rights and other constitutional rights have not been violated. A third benefit to recorded interrogations is that any police deception or abuse will be recorded. Lastly, recorded interrogations might make the police think twice about deceiving suspects. Even with the court rulings laying out how the Fifth and 14th Amendments apply to police interrogations, and the statutes being passed that require police interrogations to be videotaped, more needs to be done in the United States to combat the deceptive ways the police obtain confessions. In a 2006 Law Review article written for New York University Review of Law and Social Change, Sharon L. Davies recommends the following. For judges to follow certain protocol in regard to determining whether a confession is false. For the tests used to determine voluntary confessions under the 5th and 14th Amendments to be amended. And for amending the evidentiary rules in regard to what is allowed and what isn't allowed during police interrogation. In wrapping up my presentation, I think there's a few things that need to be reminded. There are still a lot of questions surrounding false confessions and how prevalent they really are. Although some people wonder why an innocent person would confess to a crime they did not do, there is no disputing the fact that false confessions occur for a variety of reasons. There are different types of false confessions, but one of the more commoner types is called compliant false confessions. Police interrogators are notoriously known for causing compliant false confessions by physically torturing suspects or by deceiving them. Police deception and false confessions date all the way back to the common law, and since then the United States has not done much to combat the issue. Although the United States Supreme Court rulings in Brown and Miranda and some states requiring the recording of interrogations help protect a suspect's false confessions from being used against them in court, more must be done.